Hello, everyone, and we are now on to lesson 15. Today, we're going to be talking about the unit circle and specifically just when our angles are in degrees. So today, you'll be able to find the exact values of sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, cotangent using the unit circle. So what's nice about this unit circle is we don't have to go to our triangles anymore. So let's look at our first concept. And it is coordinate points with trig. So the big thing to note is the unit circle is going to be a coordinate plane. So we are going to have coordinate points x, y, and this is going to translate into trig functions. So before I fill this in, let's talk about it. So sine is now going to be the y value of our coordinate point. Cosine is going to be the x. So this is going to be cosine sine. I know that's going to be a little wonky because we like to think of sine as, the first one. First one is x, but no, sine is the y value. And then tangent is going to be y over x. But I'm gonna give you guys a nice way to locate tangent. And then cosecant is the flip of sine. So you'll just find sine and then flip it. Secant is the flip of cosine. And then cotangent is the flip of tangent. Now, you're going to notice on this page, we have a lot, 12 to be exact values we need to find. But before we do that, we're going to go to the second page, right over here. And I'm going to minimize. Sorry about my technical difficulties here. There we go. So now we're going to be filling in our unit circle. So this is our unit circle on the second page. So as you can see, we have a lot to fill in. And this may take us some time, but we want to make sure that we have it filled in. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to fill in all our 30 degrees, okay? So all our 30 degrees, we're gonna fill in first. So we have 30 degrees, we have 150 degrees, we have 210 degrees, and we have 330 degrees. So these are all our 30s. And as you can see, I'm doing a different color. And now for our coordinate points. So the x value at 30 degrees is root 3 over 2. And our y value is 1/2. This is going to be the same for all our 30s. It's just now some of them will have positives and negatives. Over here at 150, it's still root 3 over 2, 1/2. But because we are in quadrant 2, we're going to attach a negative to our x value. 210. Again, our numbers stay the same. Root 3 over 2, 1/2. But now, since we're in quadrant 3, both of them get a negative. And then finally, 330, root 3 over 2, 1/2. But this time, the 1/2 gets a negative. Now let's talk about the tangents. I'm going to give you guys a nice shortcut for the tangents. We're going to write the tangent value on the outside here. Tangent for 30, root 3 over 3. Now, this tangent is going to be the same for all of them, but we're just going to be adjusting negative signs. Over here at 150, it's going to be negative root 3 over 3. 210, positive root 3 over 3. 330, negative root 3 over 3. So these black numbers I'm going to be putting around the outside are our tangents. All right, the next degree value we're going to look at is going to be our 45. So we have 45 degrees, 135 degrees, 225, and 315. So now let's fill in our coordinate points. So we have root 2 over 2 for both x and y. So now we're going to go and put root 2 over 2 to all our 45. So root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, but again, our x is going to be negative. Our x is always negative in quadrant 2. Down here in quadrant 3, root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and both of them get negatives. And finally, 315, root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, with our y value getting a negative. Now, time for our tangents. This is probably one of the easiest tangents. 1. Then we have negative 1, positive 1, negative 1. And there are our 45. Now time for our 60 degrees. So we have 60, we have 120, we have 240, and we have 300. So for this one, it's going to be very similar to the 30s, but this time for 60, 1/2 is going to be the first, and then root 3 over 2 is the second one. So 1/2, root 3 over 2, negative on the 1/2, 1/2, root 3 over 2, negative on both of them, 1/2, root 3 over 2 with a negative. Now for our tangents, at 60 degrees, it's going to be square root 3. Here, negative square root 3, positive root 3, negative root 3. Now, as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 blank degrees and coordinate points left. We haven't touched on these yet until now because I wanted to wait for the unit circle. These ones are our 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360. Now, what's nice about these ones don't have any funky radicals or anything like that. At 0 and 360, our point is just 1 over 0. At 90, 0, 1. At 180, negative 1, 0. 270, 0, negative 1. And then finally, for our tangents, at 0 and 360, our tangent is 0. At 90, it is undefined. At 180, it's 0. And at 270, this is also undefined. So there you have it, our unit circle. I highly recommend, if you need to pause it right now, feel free to do so you can fill in your own unit circle. And then I'm going to show you how we use it. Another thing to note, another reminder at the bottom of your unit circle. So sine is the y value, cosine is the x value. Tangent is y over x, but I'm going to make a little note that it is the outside number. Then for cosecant, you find sine and flip it. Secant, find cosine, flip it. Cotangent, find tangent, flip it. So that is what we're going to do. So now we're going to talk about how to use it. Give me one moment. So there we go. So you guys can now see on my screen the full unit circle plus what we're going to be finding. So the unit circle is a circle on the coordinate plane with a radius of 1. We will be using the unit circle to identify the 6 trig functions using coordinate points. So that is now what we're going to do here. So let's start off nice with positives. So the first one is sine of 225. So I know sine is the y value. So what we're going to do is we're going to find 225 on our unit circle here. Start at 0. Where's 225? There's 225. And then we look at the coordinate point, negative root 2 over 2, negative root 2 over 2. But since they're asking for sine, we just need to focus on the y value. So negative root 2 over 2. So sine of 225, negative root 2 over 2. How easy was that? We didn't have to sketch, find out the quadrant. We didn't have to draw a special right triangle. We didn't have to find a reference angle. All of those pieces are now in the unit circle. So now let's take a look at cosine of 60 degrees. So remember, cosine is the x value. So we find 60 degrees, and then cosine is the x value. So there's the x coordinate point. So cosine of 60 is 1/2. Now for tangent of 30. Remember, tangent 30 is the outside number. So we're going to find 300, which is right here. Then tangent is the outside number, and there we go. So tangent 300 is negative root 3. So that's how we use it. Let's keep with the positives, and let's skip down here to cosecant of 120. So cosecant of 120. We come here, here's 120. And then, since cosecant is the flip of sine, we need to look at the y value. But since it's the flip, it's not going to be root 3 over 2. It's going to be 2 over root 3. Now, can't have a square root in the denominator, so we do have to simplify. The cosecant of 120 is 2 root 3 over 3. All right. Secant of 215. Oh, and that is a typo. It should actually be 225. Sorry about that typo. There is no 215 on the unit circle. So 225. Here's 225. Secant is the flip of cosine. So we need to look at the cosine value. And so cosine is negative root 2 over 2. But since it's secant, we need to flip it. So negative 2 over root 2. Can't have root in the bottom, so multiply top and bottom by the square root of 2. So we have negative 2 root 2 over 2. But because we can cancel out the 2's there, our answer is ultimately going to be negative root 2. All right, now cotangent of 240. Here's 240. We look at the tangent because cotangent is flip. Now tangent is root 3. So the flip is going to be 1 over root 3. Can't have a root in the bottom. Oops. So we simplify. So we have root 3 over 3 is cotangent of 240. So there we go. We did the positives. We are now going to do the negatives. Let me see if I can just get rid of our highlights on here to make it clean again. There we go. All right, now remember, when we have a negative degree, there's 2 things you can do. You can either start at 0 and go counterclockwise, or if it's easier for you, just add 360 to the degree and find out what the positive is going to be. So add 360. So negative 150 plus 360 is 210. So here we're landing at 210, which is right here. Remember, sine is the y value. So negative 1/2. So negative 1/2. Cosine of negative 135. Again, you can just add 360 to this, and it'll tell you the positive, which is 225. So we're back at 225 again. Cosine is the x value. So cosine of negative 135 is negative root 2 over 2. All right, tangent negative 90. Again, we can add 360 to this, and it's going to give us positive 270. This is our first time using 270. So 270, tangent is the outside number. So this is undefined. All right. Now for our flips. I'm just going to start adding 360 to all of these. So this is going to be 0 plus 360. This is going to be 150 plus 360. This is equal to 315. I much prefer using positives than negatives, and it's easier to find. So for our first one, cosecant of 0. Here's 0. So remember, cosecant's the flip of sine. So we have 0. Now, the flip of 0 is going to be 1 over 0. Now, since you cannot have a 0 in the bottom, this means cosecant of negative 360 is undefined. All right, next, secant of 150. So here is 150. Remember, secant is the flip of cosine, which is x. Here's my x. So the flip of that is going to be 2 over negative root 3. Multiply both sides by root 3. And we get negative 2 root 3 over 3. And then our final one is cotangent of 315. Here's 315. Here is tangent. So we have to flip it. And what's nice is the flip of 1 is just 1. So the flip of negative 1 is just negative 1. And there you go. That is how you use the unit circle. It's going to take some practice, but once you get the practice with it, it's going to be smooth sailing.